Ric Flair has signed with AEW. Now, there's more to it than essentially him signing, because it comes with a sponsorship for his energy drink. So AEW is more or less getting him for either very cheap or free to basically plug his drink, and he's signed for 2 years. Do you want me to elaborate further on that, or are you happy to crack on and you know enough?
Yeah, it's, Rick has an amazing chunk of information up here. One that, by my estimation, is vastly needed there, vastly needed in the industry right now. If he plays that role for them, he could be an invaluable resource. Again, past Bruce prologue, and that, I just heard this, by the way, that Arn has decided not to re-sign, feeling that his family needs, with the tragedy of his son, and which again my heart breaks. Arn is a good dude, and his wife's a sweetheart, and it just really a horrible thing. But they need that there, and like whenever I hear people telling stories multiple times, and saw it myself, and the 2 times that I've been, well, 3 times that I've been to an AEW show, that I walk up to the bathroom, the first one, use the restroom in the locker room, and Billy Gunn comes up next to me. And I looked at him, Billy's usually a big old smile on his face. Billy's a huge guy, and hey Billy, how you doing? He goes, just trying to survive, brother. And I'm like, man, that's a different Billy. I said, wow. But so back to Rick, I think he could be an invaluable resource for that dressing room and for the office. Like, it's not by happenstance that he's in some of the all-time classics, that had ever been seen in professional wrestling. My experience with Rick is that that's not his interest. And it's a shame, because boy, if you could just open that brain up and let some of that knowledge out, just, be like water in the flowers. And I hope for his sake that he's able to do that, because that really is that's his asset right now, right? Is I don't know if you noticed or not, we're all getting a little bit older and a little bit. By the way, this funky hair over here. It's the Pittsburgh water is like really dirty right now. I gotta get the purifier put in there. But again, the eternal optimist in me, I guess, is that I hope that he divvies off some of that smarts, because like I've always said, and I am. Till the day I take my dying breath, I am so in the belief that these kids with their athleticism could be amazing if they would just absorb some of that. My fear is, knowing Rick like I know him, is that he will want to tend to get in there. I'd seen somebody had sent me something about him saying that he wants another match. Like, dude, like pacemaker, without belaboring that whole dead horse. Go in there, be the elder statesman. Be the founding father of this business, and divvy off that information, and bring those kids, whether they want to or not, grab them by the nose. Because I doubt that if Ric Flair walked up to some kid in that dress, let me talk to you, that kid's gonna go, oh, can't teach me anything, legend. It's I'm gonna go over here. Thanks. Please be that. Please be that for the industry. The industry needs it. The only thing that I was shocked about, and again, it shows you how out of the loop I am on stuff, is I had thought that he would have had some kind of contractual agreement with WWE. And
well, I can actually tell you why he doesn't. So he wants to get his energy drink sponsored, and WWE already has an existing energy drink under sponsorship, and they can't have 2 conflicts of interest, of course. So that's why he ended up going to AEW, which is a story in and of itself, but that is why he's with AEW, not WWE.
Yeah. Now, again, I played ignorance here because on the energy drink thing, I have a regular heartbeat, so I don't partake with the drinks. In fact, we'll get into some energy drink discussion in one of the future episodes, I think. Okay. But it's my experience that whenever I watch people in the store, and you walk in there, there's 9,000 of these energy drinks, is that they tend to buy 1 or 2 or 3 brands. I know Moose, he drinks those, and he drinks a brand, and he doesn't go and say, well, this one's on sale today, so I'll buy 2 of those. And I just don't know that to be like one of those saturated markets. Like, the planet only needs so many energy drinks. And by the way, just for the parents out there, if they're not aware of this, understand that like younger kids, we tend to think that how indestructible they are and stuff. There have been instances where kids that are taking those, there was a few months back, there was a 16 or 17-year-old girl that died, was cramming for a study and was drinking those, all day. And they can cause, they're not a soda. They're not just a drink in the cooler that your kid can get and drink. Keep an eye on that, and let them know how dangerous they can be if overdone.
We've got legislation here. You cannot sell energy drinks to children under 16.
Wow, good. I don't think there's anything here like that, but it speaks more about our government and what it's not doing. But yeah, that's good. That's a smart idea. Not that, everybody knows my feelings on too much regulation and stuff, but I think that, there's the phrase young and dumb. And I always tell people, like, when I say this about my kids, I said to my older son one time, he was, "Dad, do you think I'm stupid?" I said, no. My God, no, that's not what that means. I said, what it means is you're young and inexperienced. You haven't lived in the world. So, old wise Smiths like us, or that we like to think we are, we have that experience. We've heard those stories, and we've, a lot of us have known people that have done that stuff, and some of us had some personal experience with energy drinks. So, yeah, point taken.
I need to cut out saying a lot. I know I do it. I apologize. It's just a tick that I really have to get out. Anyway.
It's natural, though.
I know. I don't like it, though. It bugs me when I do it myself. I want to pick up on something you said before, and you were hoping that Ric Flair could be, as you say, that elder statesman. He can help some of the younger people out there. But best I can tell, with Ric Flair, he's only ever got one wrestler into the business, and that was Stan Lane, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, people out there, but that's the only one I know of. And I don't remember him ever being a mentor, at least longer term, to anyone in wrestling. Is Rick, when you were around him as a young pup in the industry, was he someone you could actually go to and get advice from? Because I've never heard anyone say Ric Flair was a fabulous mentor to me.
Yeah. Sting, he worked with Sting at the peak of his powers, Rick's powers, right? Phenomenal in the ring. And he would have had that same match, whether it was with Sting or Rick Rude or whoever. Rick had by that time of his career, had those 2 or 3 different standard matches. Ricky Morton would be a very different match than, say, a Sting or a Warrior that could press him and throw him.
But he's got a vested interest in that as well, because he needs opponents. But I'm saying someone like, to pluck a name out of the air, Tom Zank. Someone like that. Would Ric Flair not give him the time of day?
Zero. For the one person I remember that on the public side of it looked like he was trying to help was Brian Pillman. Brian came in and almost immediately, Rick seemingly took him in appearance under his wing. And I would later talk to him and ask him, what's he saying? Give me an idea of what's going on there. And nothing. It was nothing. It was so, I'm sure that there have been times in Rick's past where he's, I say that in my own experience was zero. When you're a kid in this business, this is an incredibly different acting. Yes, there's some part of that. And what the percentages are, I'll leave that to the fans out there. Athletic prowess obviously is a big ingredient. It's hard to look around that dressing room and say, like I pointed out with Mick Foley on a past episode, he does that sort of sidewalk and looks like all discombobulated and everything. But when you watch him in the ring and his foot placement is it's semantically sound. So all of these are pieces, the ingredients of what goes into a blender to make a great wrestler. But it's not just being a great actor. It's not just being a great athlete, or I shouldn't say great actor, being an actor at times, or being a great athlete. Those are all part and parcel of it. But then there's a whole lot of X factor that goes in: personality, how much heart somebody has, what's their driving motivation to it. And there's so many intangibles that you really can't quantify, X and Y factors. So like when you're that young kid coming in, you just went to the ring and had a shitaroo. It just you know it. You could feel it. You just know it wasn't a good match. But as a kid, if you said, "Here's $1,000,000, tell me what you did wrong," if you watched it back, you might be able to point out something or other, but you would never even come close to scratching what was wrong with the story or what was the nuanceable stuff in it. And it's people like the older people in the dressing room, like, again, without belaboring the point, the Black Barts and Pez Whatleys and Slaters and Murdochs and Eddie Gilberts and all these guys that I had the pleasure of working with and learning from, that on a night-to-night basis would come back and go, "Okay, tonight, when you did this, you fucked it up because," and blah, 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 blah. And they put it in context for you. At that moment, you didn't go, "Okay, ding, got it." It was just another piece of the puzzle in that head, where at some point down the road, distant point down the road, I think Steve Austin and I both agree it's like 5, 6, 7 years, where you go like, "Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I'm sort of getting it." It starts to make sense. Again, that's where the guys, like I just mentioned, and Flair being that measuring stick of a performer. I mean, just a really amazing in-ring performer. That he could divvy off so much of that. And, and again, when I say like the stuff that everybody knows my story with him, so I don't have to belabor that, but like, even like when David came in, you could see it in David almost immediately, like a very, very different person from Rick. Pleasurable, polite, respectful, nice kid. And I remember thinking to myself, man, like that's a tough spot. If you come in and your name's San Martino, or your name is Piper, or your name is Steamboat, or Flair, you're getting judged differently, right? You're not being judged at the kid from New Brighton, like the kid from New Brighton, Pennsylvania is. You're getting compared to that guy, and I remember thinking to myself, I never saw him even really interact with David. It was just sort of like David was one of the guys in the dressing room. And, I sort of blather on here because I could stop and think to myself, like, I wouldn't want to go in there and make it look like I'm giving my kid, hey, let me push you up a little bit and prop you up or give you some juice here. But, it's, I would seem to think that if your son's coming in and you're putting him out there as David Flair, you pull him aside and say, "Hey, okay, let me talk to you." Rick always had his own dressing room, right? So pull him in there and go, "Okay, like, let's watch your match. Okay, why'd you do this? This is not right." Or look how you had your back turned, or whatever, divvied out. Maybe he did that behind closed doors. I never saw it with David. It seemed like like two trains passing in the night. There was no real overt interaction there. And I know that, because me and Zank and Pillman and Austin and Ace, all of us, we traveled off and on together. It was a pretty tight group. And I remember Steve Austin being one of the first to say it. Say, "Hell, we're just going to have to fight for it." Like they ain't give it. He ain't going to give it to us. So it became a very overt thing to us that, like, not that we're going to go in there and be disrespectful or try to hurt them in the ring or anything like that. It was just going to be, okay, we're going to come in and we're going to butt heads because it's we're here to take ours if we have to. And so like I think guys like Zank didn't really have that kind of personality. Johnny was very much more motivated towards the office side of things. But for guys like me and Steve and Pillman and many others at that time, I remember it being a very like open thing. Like, okay, we're just gonna have to do it. And so I like I said, I think I prefaced whenever we were talking about it earlier, him going to that. I just can't see it, but hopefully, because I mean, let's face it, the guy's 75, 6 years old, whatever. I apologize if I'm adding too many to that, but it's he looks great in a suit, right? It's be that guy. It's and look, this business is incredibly intoxicating. When you're in front of a crowd and you can play that crowd and set them up and set them down on that, it's an incredibly powerful drug. So I get the whole want to do it, but at some point it's time to just say, okay, I can go over here and I can do a lot more good than talking to all these kids in the dressing room, pulling them aside after their match and not getting in there and taking the bumps. And again, with the pacemaker and the medical issues and things like that, there isn't a wrestling fan on the planet that wants to see Ric Flair die in the ring. My guess is that in some perverse way, that's what Richard Flair has planned for that character. I mean, let's face it, Ric Flair in the annals of that work of the business, that's the perfect setting, right? That's the sunset behind Scarface, as the posters as they're wheeling him by. But he could be an incredibly useful resource to our industry at a time that it is desperately needed. So, again, I'll play the eternal optimist and hope that's what he's going to do and be that for them. But I just, knowing him, I can't see it. And I'm wrong on that.